Welcome back, everyone. We're going to do a shorter practice today, focused on the Oracle card pull that we just did from the Soul Journeys deck, which was all about self-esteem and the idea of recognizing, first of all the talents and gifts that we all individually do possess, and they're different for everybody. So taking time to get acquainted for yourself with what those are, and then the importance of um, bringing those forth in your life, right? Sharing those with yourself and with others, and how helpful that can be. So that does take a certain level of confidence, right? And self-esteem. And so very important to spend some time. We're going to spend some time right now with our practice, developing that, recognizing the importance of that, and feeling that inner power, developing and recognizing and feeling that inner power within ourselves. So we are going to start with a seated easy pose today. So take a moment, get yourself in that position. So I always do find it really helpful to use a cushion under the sit bones just to elevate the hips a little bit. And so whatever version of this seated pose is good for you, you're just going to rest your hands down on the knees or thighs. Take a moment and just open up the chest. And so it's just a gentle pulling up of the crown of the head and slight tuck of your chin. I know we normally don't sit like this, right? So for me, I'm like normally like this. So that's one of the things I love about my mat. I'm kind of getting myself trained that when I'm on my mat, sometimes more now off my mat as well, I'm working on that improved posture. And then feel free to close your eyes or soften your gaze, whatever feels most comfortable for you. And take a nice deep cleansing breath all the way in your nose and out your mouth. And let yourself just arrive here on your mat in stillness. Noticing the flow of your breath in this moment. Just taking time to recognize that flow of breath in and out. What's that feel like? Helping to support that flow of oxygen into your body, into your cells, and that production of energy gives us that ability to express what we need to express in the world. Feeling your legs now and feet and sit bones connected to the mat, the ground beneath you. Feeling that support. Drawing that energy of the earth up with your next inhale. That awareness of the earth supporting you up into your body. Feeling your hands resting on your knees and thighs. Your next exhale, softening your shoulders a little more. I'm feeling now a little more consciously the rise and fall of your chest and belly with every breath. Softening your jaw. Relaxing your tongue on the roof of your mouth. Reminding yourself, if your mind is wandering and is all over the place, that there's nowhere else you have to be right now. There's nothing else you have to do. Just going to let ourselves just arrive in this moment. And just be present with our breath for another few breaths. All right. When you're ready, you can just take one hand to your solar plexus region. So that's that region of space above the belly button, below the diaphragm. And the other hand on the heart space. And as we continue to breathe in and out, we're going to breathe in self-love. And we're going to breathe out self-doubt. So breathing in self-love and breathing out self-doubt. Letting it go. Breathing in self-love, kindness to yourself. Breathing out self-doubt, self-criticism. So just stay with your breath for the next 3 breaths, continuing with that affirmation. In self-love, out self-doubt. One more breath. And then just releasing that, I guess more of a mantra. Okay. Coming back to the natural breath. And then just quietly saying to yourself, I am enough, just as I am. I am enough, just as I am. I am enough, just as I am. Just letting the energy of that just sit in your body, feeling in your heart space and in your solar plexus. What's there to be felt? All right. And then once you're ready, you can just release your hands back down on the knees or thighs. And just slowly allow yourself to open your eyes. There we go. Coming back into the space. Taking a deep breath in and out. Nice. Okay. And now we're just going to lengthen our legs out in front because I'm feeling like my legs would really like that. My hips have been so tight lately. So you see me moving a little extra slow whenever we're moving that area of the body. That's what that's about. So that's why I'm trying to get on a little bit more with you guys and do a little bit more of the stretching. I think after I notice this, after I'm sick with something, your whole body gets just a little more contracted. So I'm really excited to be getting back into my regular practice with you all. So in our staff pose, take a moment just with making sure that the seat bones are fully connected. And remember, like, you can make this pose your own. So if everything's really, really tight, you can always bring a bend, to the legs. And then also a cushion under the seat is really helpful too. And we're just going to flex the toes as you can towards yourself, taking the arms out to your side. We're going to inhale all the way up. Take that nice deep breath. Get nice and tall, and then exhale, coming into a fold. So we want to keep the length in our spine. So if you're like me and you're feeling really tight today, you might not be at the toes, and that's okay, right? My hands are on the shins. You might be on the thighs, right? You might be already feeling enough just in the seated staff pose without the forward fold. So wherever you're at is fine. Remember that I am enough, right? Sending ourselves that self-love. I'm going to take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. And it's always fascinating to me. I'm noticing it right now as I take those deep, loving breaths in and out, not forcing, just with ease. how your body starts to open up a little bit more. Let's go one more deep breath here. And then on the exhale, if you want to round down a little bit more, come a little deeper, that's fine. I'm going to do that. I feel like I like to do that today, but I'm not going to push it. So again, no pain and no strain. That's what I always say. So you want to respect the boundaries of your body. You want to come up to that edge, of course. You want to get a nice stretch, but we don't want to be forcing anything. All right. And then when you're ready, you can just use your hands to help guide you all the way back up. And then I'm going to come into that cross leg position again, but the opposite direction that we were in last time. So if you forget, it's probably the way that feels a little bit awkward. There we go. Okay. And we're going to move through a seated cat and cow sequence. So we've done cat and cow before in the tabletop position, starting in that tabletop position. But today I feel like I like to try the seated version. So you can take your hands, it's either, on the shin. Some people prefer that. I like, because my arm like this feels nice on the knees. And it's a very similar situation with the other cat and cow. When you like open up, that's the inhale. When we tuck in and curve back the spine, that's going to be the exhale. So your breath leads. All right. So just find your natural breathing rhythm to start. There we go. And then when you're ready, on an inhale, we're opening up the chest and you're bringing up the chin. And then exhale, we're going to tuck the chin. You can hold on to the knees for support here. And you're coming back on the sit bones, curving back the spine. So it's this gentle kind of movement, tilting forward and backwards of the pelvis. Inhale, opening up. Exhale, curving back. So just flow with your breath. Whatever speed or pace is good for you is great. This is great for getting some energy moving throughout the body. You'll feel the stretch all the way from the hips. I'm feeling it all the way from my hips, which are really tight today, all the way up into my neck and my jaw, of course, through the shoulders. So just notice in your body, stay tuned in. Where are you feeling this? Can you send your breath there? Let's go one more full cycle. And then inhale, just come back to your neutral seated position. Let your hands just rest down the knees or thighs again. And just notice the energy in your body, how it has shifted. Nice. Okay. Now we are going to move into tabletop. So we're going to take our hands out in front. Hands are under the shoulders. Knees are under the hips. Toes can either be tucked or untucked. Okay. So get nice and centered here in your tabletop. So we're going to move through thread the needle. I think we've done this one once or twice before. It's one of my absolute favorites. I love the twist, the wringing out of things that no longer serve us. Okay, so on an inhale, just make sure you're nice and centered on that left hand. We're going to bring that right arm all the way out and up. Gaze can go up if it's good on the neck. And then on an exhale, we're going to bring that left arm down and under, right arm down and under the left, and coming all the way down to the right shoulder and the right cheek. So you can stay totally right here. This is a great spot for thread the needle. Also an option to guide the left arm back and open. And you can also bring a bend to that elbow and place the back of the left hand on the lower back or sacrum region. So Totally up to you which version. And so accessing your deep breath, creating the expansion between the ribs. And then exhale, just letting go of all that you do not require. And so with our theme of self-esteem and self-love, perhaps that's the idea of self-criticism, self-doubt, letting that go. We all have that little voice that's just like not really the kindest sometimes. And so just recognize that. Okay, there it is. I don't need to listen to it. I can just let that go. That is an option. Let's do one more deep breath. And then on that exhale, if you have that left hand up, feel free to bring it on down to the mat. And you push yourself all the way back up when you're ready into your tabletop position. There we go. All right, so just notice here in tabletop for a moment. One side compared to the other. How's that feel? Okay, noticing the difference. All right. And when you're ready, let's take that right hand. Make sure you're nice and steady on the right hand. Fingers are spread wide, fingertips pressed into the mat. And then on the inhale, take that left arm up and open. And then exhale, left hand down and under the right. So we're coming again all the way down to that right shoulder. Or sorry, left shoulder. There we go. And then finding your breath. So again, the option to leave the right hand down, or we can open up to you. Okay. Finding the deep breath. Recognizing when things come up that are not helpful and choosing just to let it be. You don't have to engage. Not a problem. We all have that voice, right? We can just choose, though, empower ourselves to choose to let it be. Breath. This one feels really good today. And then when you're ready on an exhale, let's bring that right hand all the way down and under the right shoulder for support. And we can bring ourselves all the way back up into our tabletop. Nice. And then when you're ready, if the toes are not tucked, feel free to tuck. And then on an inhale, we're going to slowly lift those hips up, coming into our downward facing dog. So if downward facing dog is feeling like a no today, you can totally just bring the hips back into child's pose as an alternative. So if you're in our down dog, take a minute. I'm feeling like I'd really like to do some paddling out of the feet. I'm getting back into a little more movement, my exercise regime since being sick. And I can tell it's like, okay, it's been a while. Little transition happening here. And so just really supporting myself with practices like this, right? Really important. All right. So just in our downward facing dog, finding some stillness and just recognizing our strength and our ability with support, right, to express and do what we would enjoy to do. Okay, not being afraid to do that. All right. On an inhale, let's step both feet forward. I'm going to come right to the top of the mat, coming into our standing forward fold. Let your arms just hang. Let your head hang.
Deep breath. I can feel my spine like just decompressing, my shoulders releasing just a little bit more with every breath. Nice. And on an inhale, coming up into our halfway lift, long spine. Exhale, fold. And then inhale, we're going to sweep all the way overhead. Reaching up nice and tall. And then exhale, hands down through the heart center. I'm just leaving the thumbs for a moment, press into the heart center. Deep breath in, deep breath out. Feeling your feet engaged with the mat. Your legs are strong. Maybe saying to yourself, I stand strong in my truth, whatever that is for you. Nice. All right. So taking the hands down to our sides, we're going to take a nice deep inhale all the way up again. Upward salute. And then exhale, hands down through the heart center, hinging at the hips, coming back into a forward fold. Deep breath. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Hands down to the mat. We're going to step our right foot all the way back. And we're going to come on the sole of the right foot. So you're going to dial your toes at about a 45-degree angle. So we're coming into what's called a warrior stance. And so we are going to keep a bend in the front knee. Ideally, that front knee would be stacked over the front ankles. Okay. And then when you're ready, you can kind of transition here, hands on the thigh, and then eventually opening up into a warrior two stance. So in warrior two, just checking our alignment once we're up there, take your time. That front knee over front ankle. That back foot is rooted strong in the mat. That back leg is strong. Core is strong. Shoulders are down from the ears. Arms parallel to the ground, to the mat. And your gaze can be over that front middle finger if that feels good. So we're really feeling our strength and our power here. Deep breath. One more deep breath. And then on the exhale, we're going to bring that back hand down to the back leg. Let's turn over the front hand so the palm is facing up. And then inhaling that front hand up and over, reverse warrior. So initially, if it feels okay in the neck, gaze can be up at the top hand. Deep breath. There's the option here if you'd like to bring the gaze down to the back foot. I've just recently discovered this variation and I'm loving it on my neck. But totally up to you. Find your breath. And then on an exhale, we're going to bring the right hand down, bending at the elbow onto the right thigh. And then inhaling that back arm up and over. Extended side angle. So of course, at any time, if you feel you need a little break, on that front leg, lengthening the front leg, you do what you need to do, okay? Deep breath. Again, here you want to make sure that top shoulder is open. Gaze is wherever it's good for your neck. For me today, I feel like I like to look up at the hand, but it can be forward, it can be down, right? Deep breath. Let's go one more. Doing great. And then exhale, we're going to reach that top hand forward and down, framing the front foot. Okay, we're going to come on the ball of the back foot, and we're going to step that back foot forward. So coming back into our standing forward fold. So letting the belly rest on the thighs, head and shoulders, letting go, and accessing the fullness of your breath here. A couple more just like that. All right, inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, we're going to sweep all the way overhead. And then exhale, hands down through the heart center again. And again, taking a moment here, tuning into your strength. So loving mountain pose always makes me think of a big, powerful mountain. Just in this moment, embodying that energy, strong and powerful. All right, when you're ready, let's sweep the arms all the way overhead. This time we're going to swan dive. So we're going to bring the arms apart, chest leads all the way back down to our forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold, hands down to the mat. This time, hands down to support. We're going to step the left foot all the way back into our warrior stance. So again, we're making sure that the left foot, the toes are dialed at about a 45-degree angle and that the sole of that left foot is flat on the mat. Okay, so making sure first here that you're feeling nice and steady in the warrior stance. The front knee is over the front ankle. And then when you're ready, we open up into our warrior two. So in warrior two again, the torso is parallel to the long edge of the mat, shoulders down the back, arms are parallel to the ground. So just take a moment. I was just noticing my knee, I don't know if you noticed on the video, that it was starting to wander in. So I just bring it back over top of that front ankle. Deep breath. Back leg is strong, front leg is strong. Again, tuning into our strength, our inner strength. We got this. One more deep breath. And then exhale, back hand goes down to the back leg, front hand palm up, inhale, up and over, reverse warrior. And again, if you like, you can start with the gaze up. And then if you want to try, you can bring the gaze down to the back foot. Totally up to you. Nice. And then when you're ready, we're going to bring that right arm forward, bend at the elbow onto the right thigh. Inhale, back arm up and over, extended side angle. So really, again, coming back to the fullness of your breath here, keeping the chest open. Noticing in your body where you feel the stretch. One more deep breath. And then exhale, let's reach that left arm forward. And we're going to come on the ball of the back foot here, framing the front foot with the hands. And when you're ready, stepping that back foot forward again, coming back into a standing forward fold. Spine is long, deep breath. Nice. One more deep breath. Can you tell my lower back is really tight too? Lots of forward folds today. This is perfect for us. Okay, one more breath. All right. And on an inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. And then when you're ready, inhale, take your time, nice and slow, all the way up. Reaching the arms up. And then exhale, hands down through the heart center and back into mountain. And finding your breath. All right. So we're going to move into our balance pose today, which one of my faves, we've done this one before, is tree. I just found it really fitting considering just a self-esteem piece of like feeling supported and growing from that support and strength. So we'll work with tree again today around that. So taking a moment here, I like to bring the arms out to my sides when I'm moving into balance pose, just I feel a little centered. But as is the case with any yoga pose, but especially with yoga poses or balance poses, you want to make sure you feel really grounded
in your rooted foot first, and then build the pose up from that foundation. So we're going to bring all of our awareness and attention down into the left foot. So I like to just bring my toes up and just on the left foot and grip them back down the mat. So it brings all my awareness right there. Okay. Arms are out to the sides. And then when you're ready, you can start by bringing up that right foot, bend with a bend to the right knee, starting, maybe with the toes on the mat. Okay. Now, if this is already feeling really like unsteady, you can always find, a nearby wall for support. Feel free to do that. The option to bring that sole up to the calf or the inner thigh, just make sure that you avoid that left knee joint. Okay, you don't want to put any undue pressure. So it's a pushing in of the thigh and the sole of the opposite foot into that midline, right? And then once that foundation's feeling steady, you got that unmoving focal point. You have an unmoving point ahead of you just to help with the balance and focus. Feel free to try different options with the hands. You can try the prayer mudra at the heart center if you like, or maybe, the branches reaching up, totally up to you. And wherever you're at with that, just finding your breath. And I invite you to just quietly to yourself saying, I am grounded, feeling the grounding of that left foot. I am growing. I am grounded and I am growing. All right, and then when you are ready, slowly bringing the arms and the feet back down. Taking a moment, maybe just rolling out that left ankle joint a little bit, give it a little TLC. There we go. Okay, let's take a deep breath all the way in with the arms, all the way up. Gaze can go up to the hands too, and then exhale, let's let it all out. There we go. Okay, now ready to move to the other side. So again, bring all of our attention down to the right foot this time. So again, just taking that time, reaching the toes up, gripping them back down. There we are. We're grounded. We're secured. Okay. And then slowly, when you're ready, there we go. Bringing the left foot, the sole of the left foot, up to meet, either the calf or perhaps the inner thigh. So up to you. And again, feel free to use that wall for support if you need. And then whatever version of the hands you'd like to try, it could be something completely different this time. That's fine. Okay. Finding that unmoving drishta point, unmoving focal point, and then finding your breath. Don't forget the breath. And reminding yourself that I am grounded and I am growing. If your tree is swaying a little bit like mine, totally fine. Come back to the pose. If you fall out, that's fine. You are grounded. You are growing. All right. And then when you feel the pose is complete, you can slowly bring yourself back out and just give your right ankle, again, a little TLC. There we go. All right. And then we'll slowly just guide ourselves down to the mat to a seated position. And we're going to come into our bound angle, also known as cobblers or butterfly pose. So just bringing the soles of the feet together. You can use your hands, just help guide the heels towards your torso. So the key in bound angles, you want to keep your spine nice and tall. So, that means maybe your ankles are in this position a little further out, right? So they don't have to be it's just as close as you can get them to the torso with keeping that extension in the spine. And again, no pain, no strain. So again, the hips, they can be a really tight region for a lot of us. So definitely listen to the body. So deep breath, getting nice and tall. And then on an exhale, if you have the flexibility to come into a folded version, feel free. So that might be, again, it's going to be different for everybody. Okay. So again, doesn't have to look like where I am. It's totally where you are, and you're getting benefit. It's your own individual practice. Always remember that. So finding and accessing your deep breath. Nice. And today I'm feeling like I'd like to do a little bit of hand walking. So I'm just going to walk my hands towards the right just a little bit here. But if that is not accessible to you, you can just stay in the regular bound angle position. Finding your breath. And then if you'd like, you can walk the hands through center and over towards the left. So always interesting to me when I do, you do the one side and the other side. Like for me, when I walk the hands to the right, so tight on the outer left hip. And then I'm not really feeling that same tightness on the other side. So it's very interesting. You'll always notice that really often one side of the body will feel completely different than the other. Totally normal. All right. And so then coming back through center, you can slowly guide yourself all the way back up. And we're just going to bring the legs out nice and long. You can use your hands just to guide yourself all the way down onto the mat, just slowly coming onto your back. Oh, nice. And we're going to keep our right leg long on the mat, but bring a bend to the left leg. So the sole initially of the left foot is flat on the mat. And you can bring your arms out in a T or goalpost arms if you prefer. And take a nice deep breath in. And then on the exhale, keeping the right leg activated, we're going to guide the left knee over top of the right leg. And so we're coming into a supine twist, a slightly different version than we did yesterday. Just making sure that your left shoulder is connected to the mat. So that might mean that the right knee isn't on the mat, and that's okay. And if you like to bring your gaze towards the left, feel free. And finding your breath. So again, just embodying this idea of breathing in the goodness and just wringing out any self-criticism or self-doubt that you do not need anymore. Inhaling confidence, exhaling doubt. Exhaling anything that's not serving you anymore. All right. And when you're ready, you're going to slowly guide. Oh, that felt really good. That left knee back up through center and your gaze through center. And let's take a minute. We're actually going to bring a bend to the right knee as we lengthen the left leg. So we're just coming into positioning for the other side. And so deep breath in again. And exhale, we're going to guide that right knee over the left leg. And just making sure that we're keeping the right shoulder connected. So that might mean, again, that the right knee doesn't touch the mat, and that's okay. Gaze can be towards the right. Finding your breath.
Right, when you're ready, just coming up through center. We're going to take a moment and just bring both knees into chest again, giving yourself a very tight hug. Maybe a little rock from side to side. Giving yourself all the support you need. All right. And then feel free to do any other stretching or anything else that you need to do to support yourself in this moment before we transition into our final Shavasana pose. Okay, so if you just need anything else, feel free to take care of that. And then when you're ready, coming into your final Shavasana, let the legs go out long, feet roll apart, arms are out at your sides, palms facing up. And take a deep breath all the way in and out. And let yourself just settle here. And take a moment to scan any areas of your body that might still be holding tension. And see if you can take a deep breath into that space and just let it soften on the exhale. And just allow yourself these last few moments just to rest. When you're ready, you can gradually start to deepen your breath. Nice and easy. Bringing a little movement back into your body. When you're ready, feel free to guide yourself onto one side and pause for a few more breaths. You can just use your arm to help support your head, like a pillow. And then in your own time, slowly guiding yourself back up into your seated cross-leg position. Take a deep breath. And bringing one hand to the chest and one to the belly. Closing your eyes. Saying quietly to yourself, I am whole. I am deserving. I love and accept myself completely. And just feeling how that lands in your space, in your body. And bringing our hands, palms together,
thumbs pressed into the heart center. Taking a moment of gratitude for this time and space for your practice today. Namaste. Thank you all so much for joining me for our self-esteem focus practice today. It might have brought up some stuff for you. I had a few moments of that myself, right? Maybe a little resistance, and that's okay, right? So take some time, look at that. Okay, so that's there, right? Remembering, thoughts and feelings, they come up all the time. Definitely important to create that safe space for them. But with thoughts, you can choose, right? Whether, like, is that a valid thought for you? Yes or no? And if not, you can just let it be. Don't need to believe it, right? So, reminding myself of that when those come up is really important. But I love that about this practice. This is that safe space, right? Where you can get real, get honest about, okay, what's in there? What's in there, right? Is that serving me? How can I choose differently, right? So hopefully you found this helpful. And I really enjoyed it myself. So I hope you guys have a really great rest of your day. If you like this, click that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. Feel free as well to drop some comments. I'm always really intrigued how these practices and these discussions are landing. So I'd be super excited to hear from you. All right, guys, take care and have a great rest of your day.